Good morning. It's a beautiful, soggy morning here in Virginia, and we're continuing on extending the walls on this addition that we're rebuilding. As you'll recall, last year we raised up the floors inside of this addition. We started out with a room that had 7-foot ceilings and about a 1-foot crawl space. So we tore out the floor and we built 10 concrete piers down in the crawl space to support the new floor. And those piers raised the floor up about 1.5 feet and also gave it a lot more support than the old floors had, which were actually nailed to the side of the concrete wall. So after doing that, we ended up with a room that had 5.5-foot ceilings. So the next step was to raise the roof. And in this section, instead of actually lifting the old roof, we decided to tear it off because it was a 2x4 roof that wasn't in great condition, wasn't worth saving. So we tore that off, and now we're in the process of extending the walls up so that we'll have about 8 feet ceilings along the edge. We're going to vault the ceilings, but along the edge, along the walls, they'll be about a little over 8 feet when we're done. So the first step after demoing the roof was to cut out the window openings. And all of the new windows are going to go where there was originally a window, but the openings are much larger. So we actually had to cut the concrete block out to enlarge the openings where all of the new windows are going to be. And then we had to do some repair. We actually poured concrete down there. That was in such bad shape, we just did a pour there to have a solid concrete surface. And we had to replace a few blocks over here, but all in all, the wall was in pretty good shape. So the next step after cutting the openings was to fill the cores where the anchor bolts are going to go. So we marked where the anchor bolts were going to be, taking into account where the studs are going to be, so we don't end up with a stud on top of an anchor bolt. And we poured a bunch of wet concrete and filled the cores all the way down to the bottom where the anchor bolts were going to go. Sunk 12-inch 5/8 anchor bolts into the concrete, and then we bolted 2x8 pressure treated sill plates all the way around. So we've got sill plates on the top of the wall and at the bottom of all the window openings. And then finally, the last step of that, the pressure treated part, was to attach 2x8 pressure treated king studs along the side of all the window openings. So those will actually be the king studs for the window openings. The headers will be set between those, and then there'll be cripple studs underneath holding up the header, and that will frame the window opening. So the next step is to, well, one last thing we did in that phase was, after we got the studs, the pressure treated studs in, we put a 360-degree laser level and set that to the bottom of the top plate on the adjoining addition, and that gave us a line for cutting all of the studs to length. So we installed those oversized and then marked them with a laser level, and then cut them all exactly to the right height so that the top plate in this addition will match up with the top plate in the adjoining addition. So that's where we are. Today we're going to put on the bottom top plate and then fill that in with just short studs, 16-inch on center, and then we'll put on the top plate and we'll have our new walls. So we'll see you soon.